Let's cut out the introduction, because I never like to introduce myself. Only the fact that my name is Michael Tien. I'm the class of 1967 from DBS. Okay? I'm invited here today to share with everyone about pursuit. What do I pursue in life? It's a very simple goal. I want to be able to spend my whole life doing things that I enjoy. Not necessarily things that other people think important, but things I enjoy, while making a living to raise a family and live a reasonably comfortable life. I don't want to be poor, nor do I want to be very rich. And at the same time, making a contribution to the community. So let's talk a bit about how I can do all three in my business. I was an electrical engineer by training, but I hated engineering. I know probably it will give me a good job, but it's not my passion. I wanted to do something that I enjoy. And what I really enjoy, for whatever reason, is fashion, is clothing. So this is what you see. Everything here is what my company makes, and I'm involved in part of the design process and everything. All right, so I built my own brand back in 1985. In those days, there were many Hong Kong brands, and today, I think I'm the only Hong Kong brand that were around in 1985 that's still around today. So I've been able to do things that I enjoy. I wanted to create a brand that creates employment and have some kind of social value. So for those of you who know the brand that I'm talking about, it's called G2000. We made a suit that is less than $1,000 for basically all graduates from school for their first job. And that has been something that we've had in our line for so many years. Of course, years ago it wasn't $1,000, now it's up to that price. We don't make a lot of money on that suit, but it is something that I feel is important for first-time job seekers. In terms of making a contribution, I then pursue a public service, a career in public service. When it comes to that area, I have a lot to share with everyone. What exactly do I want to do? As I mentioned, in that overall pursuit of what kind of life I want to lead, basically, I'm interested in building a belief, a brand. So, in my business, my brand represents a particular belief. It represents a business that is not based on asset, it's based on people, and therefore, we never really own a lot of stores, because if we start owning stores, we become a landlord, and then we'll be out of the brand business. All right, so if we don't own any stores, we are always paying market rent, we are subject to pressure, market pressure, and we have to continue to reinvent ourselves to stay alive. That's what I've been doing for the last 30 years. That's why we are still around. Carry the whole thing then to public service, and I want to create a political ideology that is based not on, how should I say it, not on representing any particular interest group, whether it be the rich or the poor, employer employees, pro-Beijing, against Beijing, or whatever. I wanted to build a brand in public service that is based on reason. Because I believe that if you stand for reason, there will be enough support from voters to keep you perpetually evolve and continue to survive. So, in public service, what kind of reason do I believe in? Okay? You have an area called equity versus equality. What exactly is equality? Equality means when it comes to the retirement scheme, universal. Everybody receives the same amount is equality. Equity means I rather help those in need after retirement and leave those who can take care of themselves after retirement on their own. So I've been supporting a retirement scheme that is based on need, not universal. That cost me a lot of votes, but that is something that I believe in and I have to live with it. The last thing I want to talk about is when do you become principle-centered? Okay? So I started talking about equity versus equality. I actually don't believe in equality, I believe in equity. I believe in resolving conflicts through the art of compromise. Here aside, I'm going to share with everyone a little bit about the question that have been asked by most people whenever I spend time with young people, which is how to succeed in life, which is something that I believe a lot of you are interested in. The problem with this question is success. It does not have only one definition. You have to define for yourself what is success. I can only share with you my definition of success. First of all, you will have lived a successful life if you are able to make a significant difference to the life of at least one other human being on earth during your life, other than yourself. It could be your friend, it could be your parents, it could be your spouse. To be able to make a significant difference, of course, on the positive side, to that person's life, then you're already quite successful. It doesn't have to be a billionaire, you don't have to talk about money, it doesn't have to be fame. It's just making a difference. All right? You're born, and then you die. What have you done? What difference have you made? Make a difference. The difference could be on just one individual. That's what Mother Teresa said. I help people one person at a time. Okay? Even though at the end it may only be a few hundred in my whole lifetime. The second thing that I define success for myself, as I mentioned, is to be able to do something that I'm interested in. That comes back to career. All of you will eventually either look for jobs or create your own business or be a professional or whatnot. The most important thing is if you want to excel in your field, there's only one condition. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to know numbers. These are all skill sets. You can hire people to do them. The only thing that matters is your passion and your interest. And I want to tell you once again that if you are lucky enough to pursue something you're interested in, you are guaranteed to have excellence in your field. But so if you want to be a lawyer and then you end up being a doctor, you're going to have a miserable life. If you really like money and you end up being a civil servant, you're not going to be happy. Then, the third thing, all right, successful life, the ability to love others. The ability to love others, by that, I don't mean your parents or your friends. I'm talking about people you don't even know. The ability or the passion to love others. This is part of being a human. Otherwise, what difference is it between us and animals? All right? And that is something that, at least to me, will make me feel successful. But to do that, you need to be able to forgive. Because every day I've been wronged by a lot of people, political opponents, media, whatnot. I have to learn to be forgiving so that I can actually be able to love others. At the end, the word love is really what sets human being aside from other living species on earth. Okay? Lastly, if not the most important, okay, it's at least up there. Can you really say that you know yourself? Most people spend their entire life not really knowing yourself. The most difficult person to understand, that's for every one of you, is not your friend or your parents, it's yourself. Most people don't spend time understanding yourself. What is important to you? Is it money? Is it recognition? Is it contribution? Is it self-challenge? Be very careful. I've seen people who are very successful in life by other people's standard, but they are not actually very happy. They're happy because they don't know yourself. They don't know themselves. As I mentioned, some people who are really interested in making a contribution end up being a billionaire, creating a lot of wealth, but feel very empty in life. There are others who really want to go after the zeros, all right? But then they end up being a social worker, a very famous social worker, but then there are not too many zeros behind it. So when people talk about commenting on Mr. Li Ka-shing, saying, all he knows is to make money, you can say what you want. But if Mr. Li Ka-shing understands himself and he knows that that is what he wants in life, to go after the zeros, to create wealth, he is successful. So the definition of success is not how other people think of you. It's whether you understand yourself, know yourself, and being able to consistently pursue that goal. So please, if you can't remember anything in this little sharing today, please make sure that you can at least remember this. Spend some time understanding yourself. You will not get that from asking your friends. Nobody understands you better than yourself, but you need to do a lot of soul searching. That's why I always advise that when somebody first comes out of school, forget about conditions, forget about pay, forget about benefits. Try different things in the first 5 years out of school. Because if you don't try different things, you don't know what is it that makes you feel alive. All right? Keep trying different things. If you find something that you enjoy doing, even if the pay is not good, I guarantee you, if you stick to it, you will eventually be very self-fulfilling because you know what makes you tick and you are able to consistently pursue that. So this is a few points I want to share with all of you. I actually don't know. How much more time do I have? No comments? With no comments, actually, I had talked to the organizer that I always wanted interactive sessions. I like to have people ask questions and I answer them, but I understand that today the format doesn't allow that. All right? So before I leave, I just want to wish all of you be fortunate enough to pursue your passion while making a living, a comfortable living, and don't think just for yourself, and also try to make contribution to the larger community, all right? Some people are philanthropists, they donate money. Some people help and do social work. One thing that I'm doing now, which I just thought of it, I believe that the grassroots are handicapped generation after generation for one simple reason. They lack support in raising their English standard. Most grassroots students, they may be good in math or Chinese, but because the environment, or maybe at home or in the community, there isn't an English language environment, they're always behind in that. So they have a hard time getting university, and if they really want to go international, they're always handicapped. So I've taken upon myself with my own money to create a Uncle Tien's English program for the grassroots, or specifically for the poor. I specifically specified that it will only be applied to people who live in subdivided housing, tong fong, and public housing, and that's it. Okay? And what I do is actually, I commission some writers and a publisher to create a series of storybooks with an electronic pen to be able to understand each story in Chinese and in English simultaneously. All right? And that program I will be giving away free for all grassroots students from K1 to P2. I believe that to raise English standards in Hong Kong for the grassroots, all right, we need to create an interest to motivate them, all right? There's no way I can teach them better English, but if I get them interested in English, at least they have a fighting chance when they go into primary school. So to create that interest, I have these storybooks where it's all based on things that happen locally with an electronic pen, so it becomes a simultaneous English-Chinese teacher using Chinese in some way to teach English. All right? And I have to make sure I have stories that are of interest to that particular age group. I'm almost to the end of developing this program. I have written to 1,000 kindergarten principals, and a lot of them, because of, I guess, my standing in the community, expressed that they would be interested. So I hope you would wish me the best, that this particular pet project of mine can eventually result in bringing a lot of grassroots students into the English world. Okay? Thank you very much. Just as a parting note, okay? I am a legislative councillor from New Territories West, but most of the recipients that I've been helping in English, the grassroots, actually live in Sam Shui Po and Kwun Tong. They're not even in my constituency. So I try to separate my political life with these personal passion of mine. That is what I meant originally when I said, if you go through life, if you can do things that you can contribute to the community at large without really creating any specific benefit to yourself, you will have a sense of self-pride that is beyond imagination. I hope you remember that. Thank you so much.